This weapon of hers has impressive range. She can defend with it, and yet crack like whip to attack.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Definitely suits her.
It does not work like anything I have seen before. I cannot tell where her attack will land. And even if you manage to parry, it may be hard to counterattack.
Yeah, I need to take care of that thing first.
When you see it go slack, be ready. If it hits, you have no chance of countering.
Ryder, you all right? That is one freaky lady. Yikes.
Aw, come on, Kev. Maybe she just needs to meet the right guy. I could slip her your number.
That's okay, man. I'm good. Besides, shouldn't you be worried about saving your own ass at the moment?
Well, yeah. Just thinking about how I'm gonna handle this.
If you're looking for advice, try hitting up Boris. Dr. might have some info too, from the UG and Cyborg angle.
She's so cruel the way she stomps on those tripods, just tosses them around. I feel so sorry for those little guys.
You feel sorry for robots sent to kill me?
Well, I mean, they're kind of cute, right? How they scamper around. They're like little mice.
You call that cute? I'd call it creepy.
Not at all. Trust me, ask any girl and they'll say the exact same thing.
Okay, sure, Courtney. I'll get right on that.
All right, whatever. You want to save or what? Save complete. Be careful riding.
So she uses an augmentary arm composed of tripods. I cannot imagine how she controls such a thing all on her own, but it is quite intriguing.
Stay with me here, Doc. I need to destroy it, not study it.
Yes, but just look at it. How it doubles as a weapon. So elegant, so efficient. She can twist its joints and crack it like a whip, or pull it tight to lock it solid. And even should you destroy it, she can simply construct a new one using nearby tripods.
Ugh, this is gonna take forever.
Not necessarily. Until a new prosthesis is formed, she is defenseless, you know. There is your chance. Of course, you must still be wary of the tripod arm unit once it is detached. Even if she cannot wield it, she could resort to throwing it at you. The electrolytes in the fuel cells of those units are highly explosive should they have a detonator.
How are things back in Abkhazia?
Thanks to the full efforts of the workers, power was restored in just 2 days.
Pretty impressive.
Only the power plant is back online though. Refinery itself will likely be out of service for months. Fuel sent from Supsa is being used to power the plant for now.
Just wish I could have stopped him.
Impossible without a sniper. And in our focus on anti-cyborg combat, we were unprepared. Thankfully, other than financial losses, few Abkhaz citizens were seriously affected. The plant workers had already been evacuated, and most were hired back on to rebuild the refinery. We received payment and are not being blamed for the suicide blast.
Good to hear. It should go a long way to help fix our reputation.
Duh. And even more good news. Desperado is down one of its top captains.
Let's hope they learned a lesson.
We can hope, but it is doubtful. We still do not know who is supporting them. Even if we shut Desperado down entirely, their backers could simply hire some other PMC.
Whoever it is, you really think they're interested in the pipeline? Who'd benefit besides the Georgians?
Hard to say. Whatever the plan was, it went up in flames with Dulcayev's suicide. The problem is that there are countless companies and governments profiting off the BTC pipeline. Whoever is behind it, they may be too big for a simple security firm like us to do anything.
Yeah, one thing we do know, though, is that Sundowner's more than just a pawn in all of this. We need to watch him. Trafficking or not, we need to stop their operation here.
Find the evidence, and perhaps we can do that. And Tovarich, be careful.
Have you ever worked with this client of ours before?
Duh. Several active human rights groups engage in non-violent interventions like this one. Typically, they hire firms like ours to provide security and backup. Most serious human rights abuses take place in unstable regions, after all. Legitimate human rights groups, not fakes set up by oil firm or such things, they cannot handle it.
Yeah. It's different for private groups working in hostile regions, especially when some of that hostility comes from the local authorities.
Indeed. NGOs and security firms play a greater role in peacekeeping, too. You know, DDR business. Disarmament, demobilization, reintegration. Like the UN runs it. Usually carrying weapons is not permitted for the group involved, for obvious reasons.
So outfits like ours run guard duty. If the locals don't like armed peacekeepers, then they pretend to be unarmed observers instead.
Duh. It's beneficial for the client if the locals are aware of the firepower backing them, though. I've drank tea with the sort of people my company would normally be pushing back with the butts of our rifles. It's very different from usual. More direct sort of security work, especially at beginning. But I got used to it. Less danger of unexpected conflict, and the pay is pretty good. We've built a good reputation for this kind of work. This is why NGO hired us for this job.
How are things back in Abkhazia?
Thanks to the full efforts of the workers, power was restored.
Pretty impressive.
Only the power plant is back online, though. Refinery itself will likely be out of service for months. Fuel sent from Supsa is being used to power the plant for now.
Just wish I could have stopped him.
And then I thank the plant.
Good day. Let's...
We can even...
Whoever...
whoever...
Yeah, we need...
Fine.
This trial mentioned someone from her past. Any idea who that could have been?
None. I checked her file again, couldn't find a thing. Definitely not Dolzaev. Probably not Sundowner either.
No. The way she put it, it didn't sound like anyone I've encountered so far. Maybe someone involved in backing Desperado.
If so, sounds like they're providing more than just financing. Maybe they share the same philosophy.
That'd be bad. People willing to die for their leaders aren't so easy to predict.
Yeah, but other than the wins, Desperado's cyborgs are all just hired contractors. They're probably emotion suppressed with nanos or drugs or whatever, but that's about it.
You're probably right. You know, I've never really developed a taste for climbing through sewers. And Guadalajaras aren't exactly wowing me either. This place isn't gonna go up in flames, right? I think I saw something about that in the briefing.
You're talking about 1992? What a mess. Over 200 people killed. That was almost a half-century ago, though. You smell anything off? Before the explosions, residents complained they smelled gas from the sewers.
I'm in a sewer, Kev. You think I've got my smell receptors on? Local air analysis doesn't show anything potentially poisonous or explosive, though.
Well, you ought to be fine then. Besides, little gas explosion's probably not gonna kill someone like you.
Well, that's very encouraging. Seriously, though, Guadalajara is not a bad place. At least from what I've seen.
Oh, it's not. Second largest city in Mexico, after all. I've actually spent a lot of time down there. It's got a lot of charm. The architecture is a fusion of Latin and old colonial Spanish culture. The city's historic district is home to a massive cathedral overlooking the whole town. It's always bustling. It's a lot of fun just kicking back and watching the locals. Walking around the Libertad, taking in the sun with a cerveza in one hand, mariachi band nearby. No better way to spend a weekend, let me tell you.
If this PMC thing doesn't work out, you'd make one hell of a tour guide. Meanwhile, I'm down in this dark, filthy, humid, cramped sewer.
Also, if you ask me, the girls over there are the hottest in all of Mexico. You wouldn't believe some of the chicas I've chatted up. On the street, in the shopping malls, at the bars.
Sounds like better company than a robo-wolf and a bunch of plague-ridden mice.
Well, hang in there. I'll buy you a shot of tequila after we wrap this up. The city of Tequila's not far, actually. That's where it originated.
I'll take you up on that. Now let's get this over with. Hey, Kev, let me ask you something.
What's up? We've been over pretty much all the...
No. Those girls in Guadalajara, you never told me what happened.
Jeez, man, we're in the middle of a mission here.
So they used you for free drinks and then took off, I take it, huh?
Well, they weren't really my type. I'm more of an intellectual, you know? I don't go for just any random girl at a bar. Looks are one thing, but I need someone I can talk to. Someone fun but clever with a good sense of humor.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Look, Kev, you're in your 30s now. It's time to stop holding out for Lil Miss Perfect. You just need to find someone nice. You know, settle down, start a family.
Okay, Mom. Okay.
Laugh all you want, Kev, but having kids will change your life. I can't see him all the time with work and all. But whenever I'm back home, he's always so excited to see me. When I see that, I feel like, you know, I want to do whatever I can to keep him happy.
Sure, I hear you. But look, man, I was just having some fun in Mexico. Wasn't seriously searching for a wife or anything.
I know, but separate from that, I just think you've gotten too damn picky. I can understand trying to find the ideal woman when you're young, but you know what? It's those little imperfections, those idiosyncrasies that keep things interesting in the long run. You come to appreciate that kind of stuff in a lifetime relationship.
Idiosyncrasies, huh? Like if she snores or she talks loud during movies?
Well, not if she talks during movies. A man's gotta have some standards.
Sounds like Imani was a pretty great leader. Such a goddamn waste.
I've run cover for a lot of VIPs, but men like him are a rare breed. He had all these conflicting factors to deal with. Old tribal tensions, business interests, the military. But Imani got them all working together in a stable government, and all without firing a shot.
The savior of a nation. No wonder they called him that.
He had a gift for sure, but he also put in the hard work. He was big on equality and justice in every aspect of government. He fought for it day in, day out. Imani single-handedly energized his people. He's a big part of why the country recovered so quickly.
True. It was more than new buildings and jobs. The people had hope again.
If only we had someone like him back in Liberia. Things would have been different, that's for sure. And it was my job to protect him.
Raiden, come on.
Imani wouldn't want me to go after Desperado. Not out of revenge, anyway. But he would want them stopped. And that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Raiden, that saying you like about your sword being a tool of justice?
Yeah, it's why I fight. Sometimes taking a life saves others.
A life, or 2, or 3, or 40 in your case, but I know what you mean. Besides, it's not like those cyborgs you're fighting have been brain-jacked.
Wouldn't be much point.
True, and you might
start.
I get what
about my fault, and I'll. Hey, Kev, that piece of shit who killed Imani, is he one of those almighty winds?
Yeah, goes by Sundowner. He's also, he was anyway, the army.
Pretty.
Hey, you were.
Yeah.
I can't believe Dolzaev blew himself up.
Pretty common terror tactic. You don't usually see the leaders doing it, though. It's one thing to get your flock pumped up on the glory of dying for the cause, but it's not often they actually go through with it themselves.
You gotta have a public face, after all. The guy who gets to claim responsibility on the evening news.
In a weird way, Dolzaev showed some serious dedication. Not that I'm about to praise him for it.
Yeah, still a terrorist. A suicide bomber in the end.
If that's what you want to call him. Still, he kind of failed at it.
How so?
Well, all that explosion did was put a dent in Abkhazia's budget. More Russia's, really. They're the ones rebuilding the refinery. The coup didn't work out. He couldn't overthrow the government. He was barely a blip on Russia's radar.
So, you're saying the bombing didn't accomplish any of his goals? He did it just because he was cornered? Sounds more like just plain suicide.
Yeah. Probably wanted to end things with his own hands. Like a samurai committing harakiri.
Still not something to be commended for, though.
Yeah. Lumping him in with true warriors like the samurai just gives them a bad name.
I hope she didn't get to you. Wanting to protect the weak that's worth striving for.
Don't worry. I've heard more than a few supervillain spiels in my time. Maybe we had some things in common in our past, but not anymore. I bring my beliefs into every battle I fight. You want to call me foolish? Well, that's not going to change me.
I'm glad to hear that, Raiden.
Yeah, thanks. Raiden out.
Say, Raiden, where'd you get that hat you were wearing?
The sombrero? Well, picked it up at a souvenir store here. I guess I just kind of like the design. Also, when you're on a scout mission, it's vital that you use the local attire to blend into the background.
Yeah. I think it looked pretty good on you. You looked like some kind of mariachi singer.
Oh, you think so?
Yep. Only, that's kind of a problem too.
How so?
Well, I mean, that sombrero really is meant to be part of a mariachi costume. Mexicans don't wear hats like that normally.
Come on. The guy at the shop told me I'd look just like a local.
Yeah, a local tourist, maybe. Look, you might see a lot of Mexican men wearing sombreros during their daily routines, but, nothing like that. They'd go for something a lot more simple and compact. Something not all that different from cowboy hats in the Old West.
Are you sure?
I don't know if it's true or not, but I have heard one theory about the modern cowboy hat. They say it's based on the sombreros the original Western settlers brought from Mexico. Of course, cowboy hats come in all shapes and sizes, so you can't really say a specific one's the cowboy hat.
Huh. Well, now I know why the locals were so eager to get a look at me.
That wasn't the hat. By the way, Raiden, have you ever eaten nopalitos? They're typically called nopales.
Huh. Oh, like that street vendor was selling. Nope. Nopales.
Well, that's too bad. You really ought to try some while you're in the area.
Yeah, but it's from a cactus, right? Doesn't it taste all thin and watery?
Not at all. It's kind of like the flesh of aloe vera leaves, or the seaweed used in Japanese cooking. It's got this really soft but crunchy texture, and it's really versatile. You can eat nopales as is in a salad, saute them, stir-fry them with steak, put them in tacos. You can even toss them in a blender to make some juice.
I had no idea.
Tell me about it. I got hooked after Boris took me to this one Mexican restaurant. After that, I just had to learn more about them. Ooh, for example, they're really low in calories. They also have lots of soluble and insoluble fiber, which not only promotes digestion, but is great for maintaining healthy cholesterol and blood pressure levels. It's even thought to help prevent intestinal cancer. It's packed with healthy stuff too, like vitamins B and C, potassium, and iron.
Okay, I get it. It's good for you. So how does it taste?
Huh? I just told you.
Never mind. Probably can't capture any food down here anyway. Not that I'd need to. My muscles run on fuel cells, and I've got enough blood sugar to keep my brain running for another week.
Well, you can still eat though, right?
Yep.
So, how about we all go out for Mexican once you're done? Food's a lot more than just an energy supply, you know? It's meant to be enjoyed.
With that, I agree.
Raiden, what you said before about your sword being a tool of justice, I just want to say I agree.
Glad to—
You meant—
Yeah, after I tore— What?
Okay.
Yeah, he yagged as or as—
At least—
Doctor, you have anything more on these cyborgs?
Only what we went over in your briefing. If you had been paying attention, most they can—
Okay.
Not, of course.
If—
One must—
Agree. Wolf? You're a one-of-a-kind prototype, right?
Correct. I was originally conceived as a weapon to replace humans and cyborgs. Conversation and intelligent decision-making were deemed essential to the role. The project was eventually cancelled after 3 years in development.
Why?
I have intelligence, but I lack a specific quality essential to any combatant.
What's that?
Brutality. I am not human, thus I lack the brutality inherent to humanity. I was shut down, then revived, apparently on Sundowner's orders.
Sundowner? But what's he want with you?
Unknown. A manifestation of his sense of humor, perhaps. As a machine, I am more sensitive to my fellow man than an actual fellow man. This amused him.
Guy has an odd sense of humor. So, you were under Mistral's command all this time?
I originally took orders from Sundowner, but not for long. As a novelty, I did not last. Mistral saw more potential in me.
What'd she see?
Unknown. However, she apparently enjoys the company of dogs. She demanded 100% obedience. As long as it was given, she treated me well.
She was looking for companionship?
That I cannot say. I still have relatively little communication experience with humans. My ability to read emotions not explicitly expressed by speech is lacking.
Ah, the Mastiff. That body makes it good in close quarters combat. It uses those arms to grab and damage foes. Moves like that you cannot parry, Raiden. You need to avoid them completely. Watch carefully to tell when it will grab rather than punch or some other attack.
Sorry, buddy. I got nothing right now. Maybe try asking Doctor or Boris.
You okay, Raiden? Save complete. Be careful, Raiden.
It is a high-frequency blade, Raiden, not a plasma sword. There are limits to what it can cut. The HF waves strengthen the metallic bonds in the blade, improving its cutting ability. But in terms of pure physics, no blade can cut it in every situation. Theoretically speaking, an HF blade can damage anything, no matter how tough. But thick ceramic or carbon nanotube armor does not simply split open like butter with a hot knife. You need to chip away at it first, before you can destroy such material.
Raiden, ambulatory unmanned gears detected in sewer network.
What? Desperados already spotted us?
Negative. These UGs are not engaged in proper perimeter security. Even were the lab anticipating our assault, they would not set up patrols down here. It is too far from the lab to be effectively guarded.
So what are they doing down here?
Judging by their behavior, I believe they are gathering AI behavioral learning data.
Meaning?
With Neuro AI, there is no delineation between hardware and software. You cannot simply extract the learning data from one AI and insert it into another. In order to prepare a UG's AI for deployment, each must learn its duties on an individual basis.
So they're using a Mexican sewer as their training ground?
No, it would be impractical to implement on-the-field training for every AI in their force. In most cases, AIs are fed simulated data sets, plus feedback based on their chosen actions. Put another way, they engage in VR training.
So then why are they here?
I believe they are collecting data to improve upon their VR training code. To build a better VR regimen, they must go out in the field to experiment and gather data. It is probable they are using the sewers to help improve their AI's behavior in enclosed spaces.
That's the sort of subcontracting work this lab does?
It appears likely.
Oh, great. And here I was hoping the worst we'd have to deal with is toxic waste.
Unfortunately, not.
Better take out that UG quick. You don't attract too much attention down there.
That UG is called a Raptor. I hear they are typically deployed in groups. Concentrate too much on one, and you leave yourself open to attack from the others. You need to keep situational awareness at all times against them, Raiden.
Sorry, buddy. I got nothing right now. Maybe try asking...
You okay, Raiden? Save complete. Be careful.
Ah, the Raptor, yeah? A UG designed to operate in groups. Their AI is such that they are aware of and commiserate with their peers. If a raptor they identify as one of their own goes offline, they respond with a sort of primitive anger.
Like a wild animal might respond in the natural world.
Indeed. In typical UG optical neuro AIs, the section corresponding to the cerebral neocortex is, well, it's quite a bit smaller than a human brain's. They truly are closer to beast than man. You will need to do some damage to a raptor before you can cut them to shreds. And you will want to make sure the situation is ideal before you do strike the final blow on any one of them.
Your only option is to fight.
Boris, we've got kids being held inside this lab. I'm getting them out of there.
Copy that. I will discuss with NGO what to do with them afterward.
What are you thinking?
Well, this is difficult. I imagine these are homeless children, taken from streets. Likely they have no home to return to. But we cannot dump them back on streets. We could look for adoptions in US, but some of these kids may be criminals. Could be drug addicts, HIV positive, not so easy to find homes.
Yeah, wasn't easy for me either. The guys at the relief center were always worried I'd cause problems for my foster family.
The alternative is putting them in an institution until they grow up. But this has issues as well. Most are already past capacity. Taking on this many street kids at one time would be impossible. Also, it's a matter of fairness. Is it fair to take in these kids here when millions more are dying? I imagine this is why rescue was not part of our contracted mission. The human rights NGOs, they know they can't rescue them all. They must take a wide view and confront the problem of traffickers, not their victims.
But we can't just sit here and let them pull kids to pieces.
Duh. On this, we agree. For now, rescue the children. We'll worry about the fallout later.
Copy that. That kid said he's from Guyana. That's on the Caribbean side of South America, right? Know anything about it?
A little. Though I'm more of an expert on Africa than the Americas. To be exact, Guyana's sandwiched between Venezuela and Suriname, with Brazil on its southern border. Of course, the Venezuelan border is sheer rainforest. There aren't even any roads through it. You have to cross the Guyana Shield to get to Brazil, too.
So it's pretty isolated from the rest of the continent.
Most inland connections run through Suriname, opposite of Venezuela. Beyond Suriname is French Guyana. The three countries are referred to as the Guyanas, and the entire region's got its own unique culture sphere.
The Guyanas? I've heard the name, but I don't really know it at all.
Same here. I do know the region's a lot smaller than Brazil, or even Venezuela for that matter. As you know, most South American countries have Spanish as their official language. Brazil uses Portuguese. Guyana, though, uses English. Suriname uses Dutch, and French Guyana uses French, naturally.
A kind of divide-and-conquer approach to colonialism, huh?
Yeah. They're all independent now except French Guyana, though. Sort of like what you see in Africa. I did some research after you met George. Culturally, at least, Guyana's more Caribbean than South American.
Yeah? He looked a little Asian to me.
There's a lot of immigrants from India living there. They were both British colonies, after all. It's a lot more influence from the UK than India, though. I mean, look at George's name, after all.
An English-speaking South American of Indian background.
Everything good over there, Raiden? You, don't seem like you're in much of a hurry.
Give me some time. I've got a lot of intel to gather. Speaking of which, I'd better get going. Riding out.
I can't believe what they're doing in there. Guess I shouldn't be so surprised, huh?
Guess not.
Are you gonna help them?
No other choice.
I'll try to help look for someplace that might take them in.
Thanks.
Least I can do. Did you want to save your data? Okay, save complete. Don't let your guard down, okay?
Very well done, Raiden.
Oh, thanks, I guess.
That Raptor may have been smaller than an Irving, but its potential is simply remarkable. Defeating it is a fine demonstration of your body's abilities. I'm quite happy to see it working so well.
Well, thanks, Doc. I'm quite happy I'm not dead, too.
How did it feel to fight it?
Well, an Irving has more strength and firepower. But this guy was a lot harder to keep a beat on. Not that big of a deal, but you definitely don't want to let your guard down around one.
Indeed. A combination Irving and tripod force would be a formidable foe in any urban warfare scenario. The only problem is cost. A PMC would have to be well funded indeed to even think about acquiring the necessary numbers to make it work. There are situations where an Irving may be overkill, but tripods cannot provide the necessary force.
So the Raptor was built to fill that gap?
Indeed. Its basic design is a streamlined, more compact version of the Irving. Furthermore, it uses the same control system as the tripods, which helps keep costs low. It can use standard personnel weaponry as is, and its armor has been componentized. This is to say, the user can expand its defensive capability as needed. It's fit for standard military operations, anti-terror missions, even regular patrol and police duty. A most admirable jack of all trades. Adorable too, wouldn't you say?
Not the first word that comes to mind.
Ah, yes. My apologies. I can't help but marvel at a well-made machine when I see one. There's no need to be jealous, though. Your body is still quite impressive as well.
Yeah, thanks, Doc. Let me ask you something. What do you think you're doing here? I mean, why are you working with me?
Because I choose to. I owe a debt, and I wish to repay it.
A debt, huh? How human of you.
I contest that statement. Many humans possess little or no sense of obligation at all. And many are entirely willing to trample their fellow man for personal gain.
I know. But is that it? I mean, you're willing to follow me, put yourself at risk just because of that? What do you think of what I'm doing here, for example?
A delicate question. I do find it difficult to rationalize your mission to rescue the children. If you wish to save children in need, there are hundreds of millions of others equally in need.
Thanks for the support.
However, we must still uncover the full extent of Desperado's activities. And as such, it is meaningless to debate best practices without sufficient information.
All right then. No more questions, Your Honor. That thing I just fought. Russian?
You have a good eye, Raiden.
I saw it on some military news site. Article was in Russian, so I didn't get much more.
You should have used machine translation. Pretty accurate these days, no? Though not so good with the agglutinative languages like Kazakh and Japanese.
I'm fine with an overview.
I thought a cyborg like you would be more net-savvy than that, but alright. That UG comes from Alakine OKB. They worked on a Kranoplan, ground effect vehicles. They call it Vodomierka, Water Strider.
Makes sense. But what's it doing in Mexico?
Well, you know, Cold War has been over for 25 years. Not so strange for US PMCs to use Russian weapons now. After ATT was ratified, it became harder to send UGs across borders. But there's always loopholes.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what it was made for. I mean, why strap a jet engine on a ground-based UG?
Simple. You cyborgs, you have superhuman speed and agility. To counteract that, the options are to overwhelm with firepower or match that maneuverability.
So it's a specialized anti-cyborg UG?
Not exclusively, but certainly cyborg combat was at least a very important design goal. That flamethrower is also a very good anti-cyborg weapon. They mix monomethyl hydrazine with the gel fuel, making the temperature up to 2000 degrees. Unlike gunfire, it can damage target through armor. And of course you can't cut it with an HF blade.
The arms race never ends, huh? Those brains are from the street kids they picked up in Central and South America, right? Abducted by traffickers and sold to Desperado.
Right. And now it looks like they're selling off their organs.
That part of the world's full of homeless kids.
True. Though really just about every nation's full of them. Except the richest ones, that is. You see a lot of them across the African and Asian continents, too. Estimates put the worldwide number of homeless children at anywhere from tens to hundreds of millions.
Kind of a broad range. I guess it's hard to do solid research in the kinds of places where you'd find them.
True enough. The way the Human Rights NGO put it, though, it's hard to define what a street child is. There's lots of different types. Some are on the street because they ran away from home, but really they can return any time. Some work on the street but go home at night. And some kids literally live on the street with no family.
Go home at night? Those kids still count as street children?
Well, the point is that there's no set definition. Everyone involved has their own take on the issue. Without a clear definition, estimates inevitably end up all over the map.
Makes sense.
If you're going to talk about street kids, though, I think you need to differentiate. There are the kids who live on the street and the ones that just work it. Little things can make a huge difference if you've got a home and a family to fall back on. Even if you're just running a fruit stand or shoe shine operation. Kind of presumptuous for me to say which is better, I guess, but you can't just ignore that aspect.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine how helpless you feel when you've got no one to fall back on.
Yeah. Opinions similarly divided on the child labor issue, too. Some say all underage labor should be banned. Others think the decision should be left up to the family. I mean, sure, kids shouldn't be exploited or pressed into military service. If nothing else, the right to an education's got to be protected. But should a kid be banned from helping out at his dad's store? What if a family's so desperate that it would starve without the money their children bring in?
Yeah, it's definitely not cut and dry.
By the way, I didn't know you spoke Spanish.
I've got the US Army to thank for that. I was in a group called Foxhound, although it doesn't exist on paper. We were isolated from the other soldiers. Day after day of VR training.
I heard about that.
It's not like it was all VR, though. Special Forces guys need advanced physical and communication skills. I had to do all the basic training and language schoolwork, too. We even trained in the Afghan village set up at Fort Polk.
The Afghan village?
They built a mock urban area on a base in Louisiana for training purposes. It was a hell of a lot more realistic than the VR training we had back then. Nothing compared to cyborg training, though. Having it jacked right in like that.
They say it's so realistic now you can feel your blade cutting through flesh.
How is Wolf faring?
Hard to say just yet. Seems like he's doing okay.
Good, good. I'm so pleased my repairs were effective.
He seems happy enough, but I don't know. Can a machine really be happy? Maybe he's just being directed by his programming to behave that way.
And what is wrong with that? If something you do for someone else is appreciated, it makes you happy. It's a perfectly normal reaction, one that applies whether you're man or machine, and whether or not you have intelligence.
I guess so.
When you watch a film, does it not make you happy when good things happen to the heroes in the end?
I'm not seeing the connection.
Well, those heroes are not really happy. They're just following a script written by someone else. The actors have human intelligence, but the characters themselves do not. It is a facade, an imitation, and yet we still feel an emotional connection. It does not matter that it is make-believe. Now, I certainly don't know whether the AI you encountered in the past was neural or not, but Wolf most certainly is. And with a neuro AI, it is not so simple as working off a set computer program. You can define intelligence however you like, but personally I see no reason not to say Wolf has it. It possesses a neuro AI structurally similar to the human brain. It has learned enough of the world around it to be capable of human speech. Truly an astounding artificial intelligence is at work here. One I suspect could make for substantial business opportunities given the chance. Think of the possibilities, Raiden. What do you think a truly intelligent AI could do for the world?
I'll let you know if I think of anything. Riding out.
It appears you have entered the sewer's maintenance corridor. It connects individual water conduits for inspection and work access. Additionally, it is used for material storage during expansion and construction work.
How do you know all this?
These are all logical assumptions.
I'm worried about the kids they haven't got to yet. But what about those brain units? They're just brains, but they're still alive. I won't just abandon them.
Duh. I will discuss with Doctor. There must be artificial bodies they can use, not like the combat type you have. Maintenance must be considered, of course. But with today's technology, they can at least live comfortably enough as cyborgs.
Yeah, maybe. Physically, anyway. Society may say otherwise.
Yes, but we will worry about such problems after they are rescued. For now, though, let us concentrate on the intact children first.
You got it.
Man, I couldn't have imagined anyone would cut the brains out of kids.
What are they even doing this for? Why make them into cyborgs?
I don't know. They say child soldiers are both bolder and more obedient than adults, but...
They are, on both counts. But the surgeries alone would cost a fortune, not to mention all the training.
Yeah, I don't get it either. For now, you just look for the kids they haven't operated on yet. We come in too late on this, and things are gonna get a whole lot messier.
I can't believe they're extracting children's brains. Can't we do anything?
I don't know. That's something I need to discuss with Doc. For now, I gotta worry about the kids they haven't operated on yet. As long as they're held hostage, no way am I gonna be able to get the brains out of here.
Yeah, you better hurry. Oh, but maybe you should save first. All right. Be careful out there, okay?
What do you know about these brain units, Doc?
It is a type of canister conceived to transport a cyborg's brain in a physiologically secure state. It's designed for quick, lower-risk implantation. Each one is equipped with a rudimentary environmental control system. So long as power is uninterrupted, The unit can protect the brain from temperature changes and other fluctuations in the local environment. I would imagine they regulate the brain's supply of oxygen and glucose as well.
That's what I thought. I've seen these before, but I didn't think there were that many of them out there.
Oh, manufacturing's exploded alongside the rise of cyborgs, though they're still made by only one company. The chassis also functions as an impact liner, absorbing impact and preventing organic damage. It's durable against impacts up to 700 G, which would be enough to permanently damage an unprotected brain.
Sounds like military spec stuff.
Well, it would certainly be expected to withstand gunshots or explosions. But the liner is primarily intended to keep the brain safe in the event of an accident during transport. These canisters are quite functional overall and clearly designed for mass production. Costs, you know. However, human brains come in many sizes. Thus, the unit is on the larger side to compensate for a wide range. This unit cannot be used if, as in your case, the subject wishes to retain his original human visage. The brain must instead be transplanted directly into a precision-fitted skull casing. Such customization, of course, does not come cheap, and does nothing to enhance the cyborg's battle skills. It's an option beyond the reach of most. You've surely noticed your cyborg opponents tend to resemble each other. That is part of the reason.
So they're extracting the brains here, then transporting them somewhere else in these things.
Into the US, most likely. Brains alone, after all, would not violate the UN Arms Trade Treaty. I imagine these are intended for implant into bodies manufactured in America.
This is crazy.
You have entered the lab.
Yeah. You're falling behind, Wolf.
My apologies.
It's fine. Just get here as soon as you can.
I have failed in my duties as a scout. There is no excuse. This has never happened to me before.
I said it's fine, Wolf. It's no big deal. Just get here ASAP, okay?
Thank you. I shall redeem myself. I swear that to you.
Okay.
Right. I said earlier this is an infiltration mission. But if it comes to combat when rescuing the children, so be it. If enemy cyborgs attack, you are free to respond with all available force.
I figured.
Attacking first, that would be a gray area, legally speaking. But I doubt anyone would take us to court over it.
Yeah, I doubt it too.
Just keep your hands off all non-combatants. That would violate international law, not to mention morals of company.
I hear you. You were talking earlier about runaways. Kids who could go back home if they wanted.
Right. A lot of times they're fleeing problems at home. For a kid like that, life on the street's dangerous, sure, but maybe better than the abuse they got at home. They can go home if they feel like it, but they choose not to.
That's a whole other level of tragedy.
It's a pretty common case in Latin America, as opposed to Africa, where you've got a lot of war orphans. Kids like those sometimes get victimized by the people around them, even killed, sometimes by the cops. That's what happened in Brazil in 1993. The Candelaria massacre. 8 kids were killed.
How could families abuse their own kids? What's the trigger?
I was wondering that too. I did some reading up on it. A lot of times the mother remarries and her husband ends up abusing the kids she brought along. It's actually a pretty common story in first world countries too. The mother's too scared to do anything. She just wants her new man to love her. A lot of the abusers are addicted to drugs or alcohol too, leading to neglect. If their parents can't be bothered to feed them, kids are forced to hit the streets for food and money.
And these are the kids desperados rounding up? Kinda makes you ashamed to be a human being.
Yeah, it's definitely evil, all right.
But even if we got them out, it's not like they've got happy homes to return to, right?
Exactly. Most of them, well, a lot of them don't make it to see adulthood. Or they join gangs, end up exploiting the next generation. It's a vicious cycle.
Our only option's to follow the money trail. Find out who's profiting from all this, and put them out of business permanently.
Yeah. Guess that starts now, huh?
What's up? No? Did you need anything?
No, just wanted...
Oh.
So you want me to remote pilot this thing?
Indeed. Once you physically breached server security, we can take care of the rest from here.
It's a strange feeling. It feels like it's really me scurrying around.
Well, you have hacked into all its sensors. Of course it should feel this way.
Listen, Doc, if my body's ever destroyed, promise you won't stick me in one of these things.
Well, I'm in no position to make such promises, you know. Especially not before you find the terminal.
All right, I get the idea. Should be no problem. Stealth is my specialty, after all. So, how much do you know about how Desperados operated?
I was at the lowest possible tier of information disclosure, beneath standard contractors. As it was explained to me, contractors need at least some information divulged to them. I did not. As a machine, I had no contract and no rights. I was kept in the dark. My knowledge is no deeper than what is already generally known throughout the industry.
Couldn't you hack into their network or something? You're an AI.
Perhaps, if I had free access to a computer. Also, hands. Those are necessary to operate a keyboard.
Yeah, but you are a computer.
It is not so simple. There are protocol issues. Neuro AIs are far closer in structure to the human brain than standard von Neumann architecture computers.
Well, I would have tried anyway. Did you have contact with anyone besides Mistral?
I engaged in tandem field operations with Sam on several occasions. However, he was even more difficult for me to comprehend than Mistral.
I bet. Anything on George yet?
No. I think maybe they took him away.
Or worse.
Perhaps. Remember what that man said. There was matter of payment, but he doesn't need to wait for anything here. He can kill those prisoners anytime he wants. And as for escapees, they're more easily killed than captured.
Damn it! I knew I should have stayed with him until our guy showed up.
Raiden, the other children are not safe either. That payment may already have been made for all we know. And they know you're there, too. They may decide to simply dispose of children before they escape. You must hurry.
Any sign of George?
Not yet, no. Our men have split up to canvass the area. You just worry about the kids in the lab for now.
Understood. Got anything on George?
Not yet. I hope he's okay.
This is my fault. I could have stayed until someone came to pick him up.
Come on. Who knows what would have happened to the other kids in the meantime? Or even now, for that matter.
You're right. They're gonna be in even more danger soon enough. And there's a chance George is still safe. Somewhere.
Yeah. I'm sure he's fine.
I'd better move. Doc, they're VR training those kids' brains.
Indeed, much as one might expect. Simply installing someone in a cyborg body does nothing to enhance their neural acuity. True combat efficacy requires the right knowledge and the right operant conditioning.
Yeah, but this isn't just normal army training. This is the Sears program.
Indeed, the instructor sends data directly into the brain. The experience is almost impossible to discern from real life.
No, Doc. I'm not talking about the VR tech. The training program's completely different.
It is only VR, Raiden. They are not actually hurt.
Well, right. That's because they don't have bodies to get hurt with. But they still feel pain. Without that, it just isn't realistic enough. That, and with this training, you're the one doing the killing. Not just the soldiers, innocent people, POWs, civilians.
I see. So that is what the Sears program is.
Yeah. Look, I gotta move. Out. You ever see the guy in the suit before?
I am sorry. No.
Nothing in your database?
I have no database, Raiden. The symbol grounding capabilities of my Neuro AI allow me to identify faces in only the vaguest of terms. I can judge whether I think I may have seen him before, but I do not have the accuracy of a database.
Well, that's ridiculous. You're an AI.
An AI modeled after the human brain, and thus as flexible and occasionally vague as any humans. Of this man, however, I have no recollection. I do not believe I have encountered him before. Most likely.
Oh, man.
Ah, the Grad, yes. A Ukrainian UG. Of all the places to run into one, eh? Well, first thing is first. Drive it back and out of your way.
Damn, that thing's packing some heat. Probably goes without saying, but you need to stick to cover as you approach that bad boy.
You won't win this battle from long range, Raiden. You've got to find some way to get in close. And maybe I should save your data, just in case. Save complete. Be careful, Raiden.
That is a Grad, a UG developed in the Ukraine.
UG? Looks like a standard pillbox to me.
I have seen blueprints for a pillbox able to operate in tandem with infantry forces. I cannot be sure if this is a result, but I do know the Grad is capable of bipedal movement. In pillbox mode, the main cannon is also quite lethal. Approach carefully. Use cover to make your way to it.
George is missing.
Yeah. I should have had you stay back and watch him.
I should have been more cautious as well.
Listen, you should head back to the sewer and help out with the search. I'm gonna keep moving.
Understood.
Then switch to biped mode. Careful. It is whole new battle now. Ah, here is where the Grad really shines. It tails in the back of its legs for quick movement. You would not expect speed from such a large UG. Add the firepower and you have a potent foe. Watch for campfire when it starts moving, and wait for the right moment to close in.
Damn, that thing's packing some heat. Probably goes without saying.
You won't win this battle from... And maybe I should... All right, be careful. You won't win... And maybe I... All right, be careful out there.
You can deflect both the missiles and main cannon fire in blade mode, Raiden. Keep it as an option if you cannot flee quickly enough. Also, the shaped charges in the missiles use the same nanopaste as cyborg repair units. If you find yourself heavily damaged, you may want to attempt slicing some open.
Raiden, are you alright? It appears the path I scouted for you is less than ideal.
It's all right. I doubt there was any way around this guy. I'll figure something out.
I knew I still
World
the not to
Mark
headline. This is it won't even
So we heard we need
no column. Mark.
I didn't we'll fix
Jeez.
So World Marshal is backing Desperado,
You don't exactly sound surprised.
I did not catch it on the nose, but I did have a hunch it was this sort of thing.
Well, you're the boss. What do you think? Can we take them on?
What I think no longer matters here. As Kevin says, we have no legal grounds to stop them. And you? What would you have us do? Storm their headquarters? Kill them all? Will that make you feel better?
No, I mean, look, you heard him. They're already in VR training.
Raiden.
The Patriots may be gone, but it hasn't changed shit in the US. A handful of elites still get away with whatever the hell they want.
Raiden, calm down. Focus on rescuing the kids first. We will talk about this later.
Yeah, copy that. What do we know about Armstrong?
Plenty. Texas born and raised, played quarterback at UT. He was slated for the pros, but wound up joining the Navy after graduating. Said he wanted to serve his country instead. After that, moved to Colorado. Served in the state senate before getting elected to federal office. But this can probably wait.
Ah, yeah, you're right. Any sign of George?
Not our men, if you just...
Know anything about the guy in the suit, Courtney?
Not a clue, sorry. I feel like I might have seen him somewhere, but...
Yeah, it's a pretty common-looking face.
Doc's analyzing all his facial features right now. He should have something for you soon.
All right. I've got a few things to do here anyway.
Yep. Do you want to save first? Okay, save complete. Don't let your guard down, okay?
That UG, made in the East?
Indeed, the Grad, Russian for hail. It is built by the Ally Vishnyovyeki Machine Works Design Bureau in Dnipropetrovsk, Ukraine.
That's not easy to remember. Is it an old Soviet firm?
Indeed. Technically, the UG's name is pronounced Grad, the Ukrainian way. But most in the business pronounce it as Grad, Russian style.
Crazy to think I'd find something like that in Mexico, of all places.
Well, drug cartels have been using Russian and Eastern European weapons for quite a while now, you know. Of course, the arms trade treaty should have made importing something that size rather challenging.
Not for whoever's backing these guys, I guess.
I must admit, I never expected to see my magneto-stricted actuators in action again.
Magneto what?
An actuator that takes advantage of the change in shape when certain materials are magnetized. It was one of my many research subjects back in East Germany.
So you think that research made it to the Ukraine and got picked up by the whatever?
Indeed. This great technology made under the communist ideal being used for something like this. My days of adhering to that sort of dogma are long over, but still, it saddens me to see this.
Don't let it bother you, Doc. You made me too, right? And now your latest creation is gonna take them down.
Indeed. I look forward to the day.
Desperado's backer has been identified. What will you do now, Raiden? Will you attempt to destroy World Marshal?
Kevin's right. It's not that simple.
Both a direct attack and a legal approach present problems. Either course will likely lead to additional conflict.
We can figure it out later. For now, we're getting those kids out.
That remains your intent. I cannot fully agree with that course of action, but I will support your decision. I will continue to scout.
Anything on George yet?
No. I think maybe perhaps he can...
Damn it.
Right, that they make...
Any sign of Joe?
Not yet. Our men, you just...
World Marshal. I never would have guessed it. I mean, they're huge. They advertise on TV with Hollywood celebs and everything.
Yeah. It builds their brand and influences how the mass media treats them. When a company's got nothing to sell and a huge ad campaign to sell it, that's usually a bad sign.
But... I don't know. I thought they were like us. I guess I thought they actually prided themselves on following international law, keeping people safe. A lot of their guys aren't even contractors. They help militaries with logistics support, that kind of thing. I mean, I went to college with people who have jobs there.
Sorry to hear that. Guess the ad campaign worked on them, huh?
So, what now?
First, we rescue those kids. After that, we talk things over with Boris and everyone else.
Gotcha. Okay, I'd better save your data, huh? Alright, save please, be careful, right?
So, World Marshal was Desperado's benefactor all along, No wonder they were able to deploy cyborgs in such numbers against you.
If they'd already started putting those kids through VR training, is it possible I'm actually fighting some of them here?
From the sound of things, the VR program had only just gotten underway. The brain can only process so much stimuli at once. You can speed up VR training for a UG to some extent, but not for a cyborg. I sincerely doubt they could complete a full training program in such a short time.
Yeah. Most of my training in Liberia was on the field, but it took a few months before I was in any way useful in combat.
Indeed. I suppose you'd know more about how child soldiers fight than the rest of us here, Raiden.
Yeah. I guess I'd be able to tell if they were children. Kids do fight differently from adults. Any luck finding George?
No. I encountered the Maverick agents sent for him, but they had no additional information. You had best hurry, Raiden.
Right.
Land a flurry of strikes against the cyborg, and his brain-machine interface may malfunction. This will come momentarily offline. The same applies to UGs as well. Strike often enough and their AIs become unable to keep up with the required real-time processing. Make that happen, and you can enjoy a decisive advantage. Assuming you have sufficient power, you could even enter blade mode and finish the fight right there. No matter how strong their armor, getting knocked offline leaves them completely vulnerable.
Wolf, I'll handle the police. You're on scout duty again.
Affirmative. Exercise caution. They may be private police, but their specs are military grade.
I trust you do not mind my telling George about you, Raiden.
Could have done without that, Doc. He didn't need to know I was here.
Well, there was no reason to conceal that from him. My intention was not to impugn you. He has a right to know. It's not as if he can simply fly over there and meddle in your affairs.
It's throwing off my emotional balance, Doc. Things like that can negatively impact the mission, you know?
However do you mean? You did the right thing, did you not? There's nothing to be ashamed of. George has the best body we can give him right now. And the rest of the children are also safe. And quite content too, I should add. It was your quick decision-making that saves them, Raiden. George's body will require regular maintenance, not to mention a replacement upon reaching adult age. But the expense is more than worth it.
You planning on signing him up with a PMC? Because that's the only job we're good for, far as I can tell.
Oh, you are quite mistaken there. Just consider it. The power of a machine matched with the nimbleness and creativity of a human. The construction and public works possibilities alone are endless. I saw a news piece on German TV just the other day about a cyborg plumber, in fact. Let's not forget about elder care either. One needs great strength to bathe and care for the bedridden. But it's also very delicate work, if you follow. Not the sort of thing you'd leave to a machine.
Sounds great. So long as we don't start replacing the old folks' bodies too, just because they're old.
A valid concern, yes. I recall reading a comic like that once. An old farmer created a cybernetic body to fight evil military scientists and so on.
Yeah. But can't George do anything besides physical labor, though?
Oh, he has every right to choose another path. If he opts not to take advantage of his body's physical strength, he's free to pursue academia instead. His body provides a completely ideal chemical environment for his brain, after all. I can certainly see how that would prove handy in the realm of higher education. The only problem would be how to cover the costs. The issue of student loan debt in the US is thorny enough already, even for normal students.
Yeah. All this stuff's not just George's problem, though. All the other brains I'm gonna rescue will have to deal with it, too. Giving them bodies won't be the end of their problems. It'll be the beginning.
Indeed. On a happier note, though, excellent work in bringing George's lower body back. Now he'll very likely be able to produce children in the future. Bravo!
I am setting goal markers on your Soliton radar. Use them to follow me through this area.
Good boy.
I will ignore the condescension and take that as a compliment. You are welcome.
I trust you're not still upset, Raiden.
About telling George about me? Look, let's just drop it, okay?
Gladly. I'm just glad I was able to assist you in operating the cryopreserver anyway.
I know, Doc.
Not that it's so difficult. With that pipe, you simply immerse the organs in the artificial plasma inside.
Yeah? I wouldn't think it was so easy to keep organs alive. How's it work, anyway?
Oh, it's quite simple, really. It uses chilled nanomachine-infused artificial plasma. That suppresses the metabolism and regulates the oxygen intake of whatever is stored inside. The nanomachines are fully self-pumping. Once hemoglobin is detected in the local environment, they release a flow of plasma into the organ where the body's original plasma is still present. When George's body was inserted into the storage cabin, artificial blood, chilled nearly to freezing point, automatically flowed in at the points of amputation. This dropped the internal temperature of the parts from 36 to 10 degrees centigrade. The result? The effective suppression of all metabolic activity. The plasma was also fine-tuned to keep the SpO2 level inside the organs at 90% or above. The synergetic effect of all this allowed the brain to reach the regenerative treatment facility quickly, before any cell tissue was damaged at least. A most effective device, I must say. A micro gas turbine engine enables it to operate completely autonomously as a standalone unit. Would have been tough to lug over to the hospital otherwise.
Truly state-of-the-art indeed. I suspect it cost as much as a well-stocked emergency ambulance.
At the risk of speaking inappropriately, this group certainly knows how to use its budget.
Guess I should be glad these guys have got so much money to throw around.